Hello and welcome. This is Dr. Thomas S. Kuhn. Thanks for stopping by. In the following video, we see Ann Coulter do an excellent job of using facts and logic in the midst of a leftist onslaught. Whoopi Goldberg demonstrates a typical tactic that is often used to sidestep direct debate and to use emotion over logic. Let's watch.
With 40 days until the election, Miss Ann Coulter is back with a new book called Mugged, where she claims that President Obama has abandoned black Americans and that the O.J. Simpson verdict was a great thing for America. Please welcome the very controversial Miss Ann Coulter. Ann. All right. Okay, I need you to tell me what you're trying to say in this book, because we don't know what you're trying to say.
What I'm trying to say is race mongering has been very bad for America. Liberals use it to promote causes that have nothing to do with blacks and, in fact, harm blacks. And that excellent lead-in you just gave about O.J., I mean, I think that was the moment, having lived near New York City in the 70s and 80s, which was the golden era. It was like Trayvon Martin and Duke lacrosse case every day. With the O.J. verdict, white America said, that's it, the white guilt bank is shut down, and that ended up being the best thing that ever happened to black Americans.
What are you talking about?
I meant that no longer...
Being acquitted was good for who?
Yes, because you had millions of white people watching with the equivalent of what in New York we used to refer to as the Brooklyn juries, who simply would not convict even guilty black criminals, not innocent black criminals.
Hold up, Ms. Coulter. Please stop. Please stop. If you're going to talk about race, at least know what you're talking about. At least know what you're talking about. Well, tell me how much you know about being black.
Well, this isn't about being black.
Well, but you just said, you just made all these statements about how black people feel. Tell me how you know that. Yeah, you did.
This is not a book about black people. It is a book about white liberals. And I do know, and this is a fact, that once for years, Republican policies on crime and welfare, for example, were called racist. When they finally got implemented, after the O.J. verdict, I might add, by Giuliani in New York, Reagan and Bush judges overall, tens of thousands of black lives were saved. That is a fact. I don't have to know about being black, but I know because you're to be dead.
Your facts are just a little shaky. I mean, you're saying that because black people, because liberals are what? Because liberals have abandoned black people now because. What? I don't get it. I don't understand.
I don't think liberals ever cared about black people. I mean, 5 minutes after the Civil Rights Act of '64, they start calling everything that has nothing to do with black people a civil rights issue.
Wait a second.
First, Ann Coulter states, and I quote, "Race mongering has been very bad for America. Liberals use it to promote causes that have nothing to do with blacks and, in fact, harm blacks." End quote. Next, she makes mention of how, in her mind, the O.J. Simpson verdict was a good thing for blacks. It is then that leftist Whoopi Goldberg comes in with a statement including the remark that, if you're going to talk about race, please know what you're talking about. The leftist crowd erupts. Whoopi Goldberg then proceeds to ask a question that's completely off base and just literally makes no sense at all, none. Ann Coulter has to immediately clarify her statements and bring the conversation back on topic by reminding Whoopi Goldberg and everyone else that the book is not about being black, but instead is about white liberals. So I've got two questions for you. Question one, did you notice how everyone else went left along with Whoopi Goldberg, apparently without even realizing that the topic had been changed? Another question, did you notice how rather than debating Ann Coulter's point, Whoopi Goldberg tried to discount everything that she said by stating the obvious? Ann Coulter is not, nor has she ever been black. Whoopi Goldberg insinuated that Ann Coulter had no idea what she was talking about, even though her point had nothing to do with knowing what it was like to be black in the first place. Let's continue.
Abortion on demand, homeless rights.
So are you saying that liberals don't care about black people then are you saying Republicans embrace us in a warm, fuzzy
Try
blanket?
to. We're not embraced back.
But yeah, we tried to. So wait a minute. So the Southern strategy was a white liberal thing? No, it was a Republican thing.
No.
And also, Newt
that is-
Gingrich calls President Obama the food stamp president. That's not racist?
This chapter.
Wait a second. Listen.
Do you really think that was? Do you believe it was racist for Newt to say that the president is a food stamp president?
Well, he
Can you
wouldn't
dive
say
into
that
that?
If we could just
Yes,
skip,
I'll let you
I'm
say
not
that
a big
one.
fan of Newt, so if we could just skip that for a second and get to the Southern strategy.
Yeah.
Because I've specifically disproved it. It's an absolutely liberal folklore. Republicans were winning the South since 1920. It was the outer states of the South. It was Texas, Tennessee, Kentucky,
Black people
Virginia.
weren't voting. What are you talking about? We weren't
Well,
allowed
who was
to
trying
vote.
to get them to vote? Republicans were.
They're deserters, poor farmers, and runaway slaves who don't have much to lose.
Mr. Moses, what are you?
Free man, Captain.
Sure is.
Just hang him.
See anything?
You won't miss this.
From this day forward, we declare the land north of Pascagoula Swamp to be a free state of Jones. For our children and their children's children. These men are here to vote. They mind dying a whole lot less than you do.
They hold all of Jones, Jasper, Perry, and Hammersmith counties.
How is that even possible?
And the first black congressmen were all Republicans, and the first black governor was a
You're
Republican.
talking about way back.
After is so different from
No, that is definitely what we're told. But in fact, the Democratic segregationists were all liberal Democrats. It is a lie that they were conservative Democrats.
Everybody was a segregationist, darling. And then, you know,
The
basically,
Republicans weren't.
everybody was. White people were. It didn't matter whether they were
Absolutely
Republicans
were
or
not.
Ask you a question.
The first segregationists know about control. No, let me ask you. No, that is not. Are you? Okay, just read chapter 14 in this book. The first Republicans to be elected in the South.
Listen to my grandmother, who was there, who remembers what
Howard
happened.
Baker, an aggressive integrationist, first Republican elected in Tennessee to the Senate. You have Winthrop Rockefeller, first Republican governor in
But you know, I have a question
Arkansas.
about today. Let me ask
Integration.
you something about what's going on now. It seems to
But the
me
Southern strategy is a lie.
It seems
And
to me
it's
that
explained
voter
here.
suppression is happening in areas where black people and Hispanics are, and it really is being promoted by the Republicans, not the
No.
Democrats. So in my view, and I have a different one from you, it looks as though the Republicans are really going against blacks, not the liberals.
No, and this
what
is
do you
a
say to
perfect
that?
example. Yes, it is, and it's a perfect example. No, I'll explain why. Of liberals using the label of civil rights to promote a liberal cause they support, i.e. voter fraud. In fact, one of the first states in the Union to pass voter ID bills was Rhode Island, 85% Democratic legislature. And who pushed it? A black Democrat in the House, a black Democrat in the Senate. That's a fact.
No, you may pick out Rhode Island, but there are other states where it's completely
Why would
Republican
black
driven.
Democrats be pushing this? Because they had seen
Because they
voter
want the
fraud.
Hispanic vote to go to
Can I
Romney.
ask a general question? Every book that you write is very controversial and shocking, and it's usually an opinion that's disparate with everybody else's.
Right.
Do you just write these books and try to find whatever it is that's going to make everybody say,
Well, you don't believe this crap.
The reason, it's an excellent question. The reason I write these books is because I try to correct things that people believe that are just false.
Here's the question
And
for
this
you.
is a lot of...
Do you see the difference between Coulter and this panel? This is logic versus emotion. Whoopi Goldberg liked to say you're talking about way back when it refers to something that she doesn't want to hear, but it's perfectly acceptable to talk about way back in regards to slavery. It just doesn't work that way. Her response is perfect. This is Ann Coulter. The reason that I write these books is that I try to correct things that people believe that are just false. How can you argue with that? Somehow, they found a way. Moving on.
Question, because I was reading a book,
and you're the only one that says it, but
Well, there are a few things. I mean, discovering that we never won the Goldwater states and Republicans didn't win the Dixiecrat states until the Dixiecrats died out.
You keep staying back in the past. You got to come into the present. But this is what I want to say.
That's new to me. The rest of it, other people know.
In reading your book, you know, you keep saying if you would read chapter 14, if you would read, you make such divisive comments and incendiary comments and hateful comments at times. It makes people not want to pick up your book and read it. So
people agree with her, read it.
Yeah, well, people agree with
No,
it.
I don't think so. You name a hateful comment in here.
She can't. She made that statement about hateful comments, but she can't cite a single one. Typical.
You know, when you talk about you stay in the past, that Republican
No,
was
only
back
because
then.
it was brought up. There's only one chapter on the past, and I mean, it's just a
But
fact.
when you talk about something like voter suppression, which obviously is trying to keep black people and Latinos,
Republicans have never done that. That was a Democrat thing.
But Ann, it's in states where they don't even have any.
Stop. Let me just, because can I just say one thing, Dan? No matter what, you sit down here and you've got 5 women going, butter.
Yes.
Whatever it is, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
There you have it. Good job, Ann Coulter. Even though in the end, they made it seem like it was your fault that they didn't agree with you. Take care, everyone. And I'll see you next time. This is Dr. Thomas S. Kuhn signing off. Peace.